Now, Pete, how do you value a leasehold?
Right. Well, it's different to a freehold property in so much as you have a ground rent that goes out every year. That, in some cases, if the leases were drawn in the late 90s and early 2000s, the ground rent was paid by the tenant as an outgoing. That disappeared in 2008 with the GFC. And a lot of people said, we're not going to lease if we have to pay the ground rent. The owners of the leaseholder, who owns the assets, rather than end up with an empty building and have a ground rent that he was paying and rates that he was paying and not getting a return, wiped out charging the tenant the ground rent. So it came back to the tenant was leasing the site. And so when you have to work out your cap rate, you have to take the actual net rental the tenant's paying less the ground rent to get a true net rental. So say a section's got a $10,000 ground rent on it and the tenant's paying $25,000, you've actually only got a $15,000 net rental.
Yeah.
And that's what you value off. Secondly, while freeholds might be running at say a 6 or a 7% cap rate or whatever the cap rate is, ground rental land usually runs 1% to 1.5% higher. So say you had a cap rate of 5% for a freehold site, you'd expect it to be 6 to 6.5 for a leasehold site, maybe even 7, because there's that element of risk that when a tenant leaves, you land up with a ground rent bill on top of your rates and insurance and those sort of things for the asset.
Yeah.